All right, today I want to talk about the art of the tax sale deal. Once you understand this, it will allow you to go into more profitable deals and grow a long-term, sustainable, and very, very lucrative tax sale business. Now, before we get started, my name is Casey Denman. I am the host of the Tax Sale Podcast, author of the Tax Sale Playbook, and founder of the Tax Sale Academy. Now, what you need to understand is that tax sale investing isn't just about following a set formula. It's not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Even though this does require a little bit of math, because it is investing, this is not a math test. Investing is a dynamic, evolving process. It is more art than it is science. It requires flexibility, it requires creativity, and it requires a willingness to adapt to new challenges and strategies. Now, I first began to understand this concept when I was taking the real estate class from back in the early 2000s for my real estate license. We were talking about valuing properties when the instructor asked a rhetorical question. If you have two pieces of real estate side by side, do they hold the same value? The answer, of course, is not necessarily. How big are they? What are the dimensions? What is on each one? Are they both usable? The list goes on and on. The fact is that no two pieces of real estate are exactly alike. Even though you have two vacant lots side by side of the same size, one buyer is going to choose one of those lots because it is closer to the main road. Another buyer will choose the other lot because it is farther from the main road. Everything in this business is different. And just like valuing real estate, tax sale investing requires a very wholesome, very holistic type approach. It's not about following a rigid, do this, then that checklist. It's about learning the nuances and crafting your strategy. Now, there are 5 arts that every successful tax sale investor must master in order to see long-term success. Let's discuss them today. The first one is the art of learning. When people ask me, what exactly should I do with X amount of money? Or what's the perfect property that I should invest in right now? Or what should I buy? What states should I invest in? What's the best county? What's the best market? Where do you invest? What do you buy? What do you suggest I buy? What state would you send me to? That's like asking me how long a string is. The fact of the matter is there is no single answer because every path for every single person is different. What works best for me probably won't work best for a brand new tax sale investor. Some of the strategies that I use, I definitely would not recommend a brand new investor use them. So copying somebody like me or somebody else that you see is not going to be the best path for you. So you need to take the time to understand that and to find out what works best for you. And we do this by learning. That's why the learning aspect is so critical. It's the foundation that prepares you for success in the tax sale business. It allows you to invest based on your understanding of the business combined with your own personal objectives, the ones that suit you best, not the ones that suit me or anybody else. But here's the thing. Learning also does not stop with the basics. It is a continuous process, something I'm still doing 22 plus years later after starting in the tax sale business. Now, there are a few different ways to learn. One is through formal education. Training through programs like I offer through the Tax Sale Academy is always going to be the fastest way to shortcut the process because it provides you direction, it provides you every single step from the start to your investment and beyond to help you succeed. I also have books, guides, videos, podcasts. These give you the structure to understand the business. This is not a sales pitch, by the way. I think everybody that is watching this right now or listening to this knows that I provide more free training on the tax sale business than anybody else in the world. But if you want structured, formatted training so that nothing is overlooked, then consider joining our community inside the Tax Sale Academy. Beyond that, you also have local mentorship. If you can find a successful tax lien or tax deed investor, somebody that has sustained success for decades, that person is going to be the ideal person to learn from on a local scale. Now, notice I said decades there. If somebody got into this business 1, 2, 3, maybe even just 5 years ago, and they're seeing a little bit of success, odds are they have not been through all the market cycles to truly know this business in depth in a manner that will help you. They might be able to give you little bits and pieces of information here and there, but odds are they don't fully understand this business as much as you need to understand it to build a long-term sustainable business for yourself. But if you can find that local person, it's going to be a fantastic contact for you if they want to talk to you. And then beyond that, you have experience. You have learning through what they call the school of hard knocks. And that is, I suppose, how I did it. I spent years and years and years of going out there, buying property, making mistake after mistake after mistake, and I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this, and eventually I did learn the business. Obviously, that is a path that some people choose to take. I wish I could go back and find something like the Tax Sale Academy to shortcut the process. Now, even if you want that experience, but you are smart enough where you don't want to go out there and deploy your hard-earned money into all these properties and make all these mistakes, you can still practice without investing. And I do highly recommend this. Take the time to study lists. Take the time to analyze properties. Learn the different strategies. Go to auctions. Learn the process. Become comfortable with the process. And then, of course, when you are ready to pull the trigger, start small. And if you don't have any formal training or any mentorship, expect mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and then grow from every single experience. Mastering the art of learning means that you have to be open-minded. Don't get tunnel vision. You need to be curious. What about this? What about that? And then go and research it. And you need to be committed to personal growth and personal development. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares how much money you make on this earth except for you. You are the person that cares the most. It's not just acquiring knowledge and anything like that. It's about knowing how to adapt and how to apply that knowledge in the real world in a variety of ways and how to think on your feet. The next one, the art of research. Research is the bedrock of tax sale investing. Without proper research, you are gambling. Research equals results. It is as simple as that. Every property, every market, every opportunity is unique, and your ability to gather, interpret, and act on the information will determine whether you make a fortune or whether you lose every single dime that you invest. Think about it. No two properties on earth are the same. Right? That's what the instructor said. That's what we learn through that example I provided earlier. Every property has their quirks, their challenges, their potentials, especially when it comes to tax sale properties. But how do you uncover those details? You start by understanding the market. Is it a growing area or is it in decline? What are the trends there? How's the market look? How about the previous auction results? What are the margins there? How are investors selling properties there? And then dive into the property specific stuff. Are there liens, encumbrances? Is there code enforcement issues? Is the condition of the house good, bad? Is it usable? Is the property usable? Is it landlocked? Is it accessible? These are all things that you need to learn about this business. From there, don't stop at surface level research, which is what so many people do. Dig deep. The only reason you'll ever lose money in this business is because your research was not thorough enough or because it was not accurate enough. Every single bad investment I have ever seen goes back to this. Somebody did surface level research. They looked at the property assessor's report and based everything off of that. And guess what? When they make mistakes, it's because they did not dig deep enough and they missed something major. It is that simple. Just remember, your research equals results. You can have all the checklists in the world, but if you don't know how to interpret what you are seeing, those lists are worthless. Research is where fortunes are made and lost. The next one, let's talk about the art of the auction. People often think that auctions are the hardest part of tax sale investing, the most intimidating thing, but in reality, they're usually the easiest if you have done your homework. The hard part happens before the auction, selecting good markets and doing that thorough research that we just discussed. Once you have chosen a solid market and you've performed your due diligence properly, the auction is more or less just a formality, but there's still somewhat of an art to it. You need to prepare for it. Know your numbers. Know the properties that you're bidding on and what you are going to be paying. It should simply be a matter of reading from your bid list and bidding on properties. You know exactly what property you're bidding. You know the auction lot number. You know your max bid. That's it. You just read it aloud. If somebody bids more, so what? Move on to the next property. If you go to an auction, you try to make it more complicated than that. If you're researching properties on site, you're doing it wrong. I've seen people come before with binders, 3-inch binders that thick of papers about a property they were interested in, folding out blueprint size surveys and everything else. Guys, that's something you do at home. You don't do that at an auction. The next art that you need to learn when it comes to the auction is the process, right? Every auction operates just a little bit differently, and as you become more and more familiar with the auction setting, you get more and more comfortable. But learn the nuances of bidding in your chosen area, whether it's live, online, or a sealed bid type auction. And then lastly, let's talk about discipline real quick. Emotions will ruin you at an auction, and they will ruin your business. I have seen grown men lose thousands and thousands of dollars because their ego got in the way and they didn't want to be outbid. Never get caught in a bidding war or overextend yourself just because you got caught up in the moment. Stay disciplined. When you approach auctions correctly, they're the easiest part of this entire thing. Let's talk about the art of marketing now. After winning the auction, you have to make money off the property, and that requires that you market the property. So you've acquired the property, you got to turn it into a profit. The number of people who buy properties but don't have a single plan on how they will profit from those properties, it's mind-boggling. Here's the truth. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. Now, you might have a specific method of selling your properties, but they might be just specific to you and that type of property. Maybe you are the person that sells lots online all day long. When you buy a house, you better have a different plan for that house. Or maybe you go from the West Coast to the East Coast. Maybe your plan won't work quite as well. So make sure you have a plan going into it. Now, there's a lot of different ways to market tax sale properties. This is obviously something we go deep into inside the Tax Sale Academy. There's a very hands-off approach. Just sign it over to a realtor with a listing agreement, pay a commission, move on. You could sell it with a FSBO or for sale by owner through conventional advertising on sites like Zillow. There's direct response marketing, advertise directly to your buyer through things like social media, Craigslist, local channels, that kind of thing. Then, of course, there's e-commerce and more complicated related solutions. Build an automated system, for example, where you can list, sell, and close deals online without ever having to pick up the phone or anything like that. There's all sorts of things you can do, different ways to sell a property, different ways you can market it. But your marketing strategy depends on your goals, resources, and your comfort level. The key is to figure out the approach that resonates with you the best. Then experiment, track your results, and refine your approach over time. You know, there's some people that will buy a tax sale property and that's all they want to do to it. They'll buy it, hand it to a realtor, and that's it. Now, I've got other people inside the Tax Sale Academy. They will sell thousands of lots every single year. They go all around the country, buy these lots, throw them onto their website, and they will never speak to a buyer over the phone. The buyers will go to the website, check out on the more or less e-commerce type site, like they're buying something off Amazon. They'll transfer the deed and they'll move on. So there's lots of different ways to sell the properties, but figure out what works best for you. It's a part of the business that has a lot of different avenues, but learning these different ways to market your properties can become an invaluable skill for your business. And then lastly, let's talk about the art of growth. Now, if you make 1 or 2 successful deals, that's fantastic, right? That's great. If you see success for 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 years, that is awesome. But the real challenge here and the real opportunity is scaling your business. How can you build the sustainable business for decades? How do you take $500 and grow it to $100,000? How do you take $100,000, grow it to $1 million? How do you take $1 million, grow it to $10 million or $50 million? Growth comes down to reinvesting your profits wisely and understanding the power of compounding your capital by using a snowball type effect. Here are a few key strategies. Maybe you want to start with smaller deals to minimize risk and build your confidence. Don't go all in on your first deal. It's not going to be the best case scenario. Reinvest your profit that you make off that first property into slightly larger properties or more lucrative opportunities, or simply increase the quantities of properties that you're working with. And then from there, diversify your approach as you begin to hit ceilings. For example, explore new markets or different types of properties to start expanding what you are investing in and where you are investing. And then from there, always continue to learn. Market conditions change. Methods change. You need to stay ahead of the market. You need to figure out what works best for you. You need to figure out how to put plans into place where your business becomes more efficient to operate and more profitable. The investors who master the art of growth are the ones who will weather market shifts and build the long-term sustainable businesses. If you don't take the time to figure out this whole growth aspect of your business, the next time the market dips, you will be out of business. I've seen it many, many times. It's not about making a quick buck. This is not a get-rich-quick business. In fact, it's far from that. Instead, it's about creating a system that will help you grow your wealth exponentially. So there you have it. My 5 arts of the tax sale business: learning, research, auctions, marketing, and growth. Each one of these is a skill that you can master with time or training, and together they will help form the foundation for building a successful and sustainable tax sale business. You have to remember, this is not a business of rigid rules you have to follow. It's an art. It requires adaptability. It requires creativity, flexibility, and a willingness to learn and grow. And you must approach it that way. So stop looking at it as if everything is the same, when in fact, nothing is the same. It's different in so many ways. And when you approach it that way, the opportunities will suddenly become limitless and will appear all around you. Listen, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Tax Sale Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to us, leave us some positive feedback, click that thumbs up button, that 5-star review, whatever you have on your screen. Just let us know that you enjoyed this episode. And as always, if you are ready to dive deeper, make sure you head on over to taxsaleacademy.com for the most comprehensive tax sale training that we offer. Hey, take care, folks, and make it a successful day. We'll see you next time right here on the Tax Sale Podcast. Bye-bye.